Ready for the mosh pit, shaka bra.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to StrangeCast, Play One vs. One's Life is Strange fan podcast. This is StrangeCast X Lost Records Journal Patreon episode. I'm one of your co-hosts, Adnan and Riaz. My co-host Adam Evalt is here. Adam, you here?
I am here. I am ready for this Ghost of Yote. All about this. This is the Ghost of Yote podcast. Am I on the right podcast for that?
No, you're not. You're on the September special Patreon episode, and the Kevins have taken over, so you better brace yourself. They are not Ghost of Yoteing this up. So, welcome. Obviously, this is our monthly Patreon episode that we do with the Patreon submitted questions. I'll go into it in a minute, but yeah, before we start as well, if you are new here, please do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, share with your friends. We've crossed 2,100 subscribers, which is amazing, so thank you so much for that. You can help us get to 2,200, that would be amazing. And StrangeCast is available on all podcast services, so it's available on Spotify with the video version, Apple Podcasts, available on all those services, so go and check them out. Go and download us, rate us, you boost our visibility, and it helps you as well get access to the podcast as soon as it becomes available. StrangeCast has 50 ratings on Spotify. It has over 330 followers. So if you can follow us, it really does help us. So this should hopefully be side A. We're going to split this into two parts because we've got enough topics here. So obviously, if you aren't new to our Patreon, you can sign up to it. There's two tiers. The second tier gives you an option to get involved in terms of just, accessing topics for this, so you can submit questions and any kind of things. We make the podcast based off what you say. Obviously, the other ones as well gives you ad-free content tier, and basically all the stuff that comes from the Patreon goes back into the channel. It just helps us keep the lights up whilst we're doing many other things. So, and it is also very much appreciated. So we have done these before. The Kevins have taken over on this podcast, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth between the questions that they've asked here. Before we start as well, actually, sorry, Michel's interview is out. Luc's interview is out. The second part, side B of Lost Records Journal, is finally out. Apologies. It's just one thing I'll say is you don't know what my schedule looks like. And I'm not saying the busiest man in the world, but sometimes Adam and Abby look at my schedule and like, in their cleanest words, are, what the fuck are you doing? And it's like constantly back and forth. So apologies about the long wait for that, but it is finally out. I will put a full version out at a later date. I have actually edited it essentially as one video, but split into two because it made a lot more sense. But you can get the full unedited interview in its like entirety. So that will be out. Obviously, stay tuned. There was a Patreon incentive available that's just been delayed. I've put a post out about that, so I'm trying to work around that and get that. But thank you for people who got involved with that. But bear with me as I try and get that done. And then also as well, this StrangeCast is two parts, but then there's one StrangeCast which has been backlogged because I was editing the Michel and Luc interview. So bear with it. That is going to come out. We're on the 27th of September recording. Hopefully those two parts come out before this, and then we should be back on schedule, hopefully. If you ever wonder, the interviews take a lot longer to edit. It's a lot of editing. And I do it in the sense that you want to watch it without R's and stuff like that. So I try and get it as clean as possible. So, as you will. But anyway, Adam, should we get into our Patreon podcast as it is?
That sounds yummy.
It is yummy for my tummy, and I'm gonna pull it up here as well. So let me get us on the screen share here, and we'll go on this one. Actually, we'll move to the side. So Adam, as you can see as well, and for the people watching, if you're not involved, our Patreon tier is here, which was open for September. It came out late, so apologies for that. I'll try and move it, but you can submit topics. And the Kevins have taken over. Clarx is out of the picture. I think it's a bit like WWE. I think that they hit him with a steel chair, and it's like, tag team Kevins, and it's like they're just taking back over the podcast. So a lot of topics in here, Adam.
Yes.
Which Kevin would you like to go with first?
Let's go with Kestis. Let's give him some love.
Okay, so let's go with Kestis. Let's go with a really random one to start with, which I thought was random.
Okay.
So Kevin Kestis there has put, just curious, Adnan, in the Twitter cover photo, who's Pinhead sitting across from? Which,
I don't know this picture. What is that?
So I will pull it up on Twitter here, and I just had it open. I just closed it for some reason. I don't know the hell's what I'm doing here. But yeah, that was my. I was interested. I was like, that's an interesting question to ask. But yes, it is Pinhead is in there, or lead Cenobite, depending.
Oh, I remember okay. I can't see it just yet, but like I know which picture it is now.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up on the screen for all the people. Why is it just closed it? Why are you doing this to me, the service? What is going on? Like, the podcast is falling apart. We're only 5 minutes in as well. Anyway, here we go. Back on screen, and you have my lovely Twitter page, which has now made the focus of the podcast somehow. And as you can see there, there's my Twitter. That's been there for. I think genuinely, by the way, I think that has been there since I started Twitter back in
I was about to say
2012.
for as long as I've known you. Yeah.
Yeah, I genuinely think that has been since 2012. I think that photo has been there. But yeah, that is Pinhead, obviously, and that is Lemmy from Motorhead. God rest his soul. Motorhead, man, I miss Motorhead. But yeah, that is actually a song that they made for Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, which was called aptly named Hellraiser. And there is a music video for you if you want to watch it. It is Lemmy sing across from Pinhead, Doug Bradley, the actor from it, which is that shot is iconic for me. I don't know what it is. It always like tickles me. There's that one, and I think my favorite photo as well in some of my other profiles is one of Kojima, Mads Mikkelsen, Norman Reedus. They're on a pavement, and Kojima's smoking, and it's just like it's something like aura with it. But this one has aura. So yes, that is my Twitter profile banner. If you ever wonder, I'm a huge Hellraiser fan as well. So yeah, a lot of love for Pinhead and Lemmy as well. And you love Tony Hawk as well, and Ace of Spades as well as in that, and iconic. I always associate that Motorhead song with that game as well.
Yeah, Ace of Spades. Yeah, that was Tony Hawk 3, I believe, or was it 4? I can't remember. No, it was the first one. It was 3. No. It was Ace of Spades was 3. Yeah,
3.
Yeah. So Guerrilla Radio was 2. Like that was like the theme song for that.
Yeah.
And then the first one. Oh, what was? Oh, it was Goldfinger. Superman by Goldfinger was like the theme song for the first one.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. You were right.
Yeah. Bam, got him. I don't know what the theme was for 4. I feel like I should know that one. Like, what was the theme track?
You mean like the main theme or the standout theme, or?
Yeah, like the standout song for 4. I can't really think of what it was. Because 4 was cool. It just was my favorite.
4 is when it starts to tail off a little bit. The first 3 are just iconic. Like, oh my god, it's amazing. The first 4. Try to see if they've got this here. Yeah, that's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Jesus Christ, you make my life a little hell. It's combined it. What the hell? Yeah, I've got the remastered thing up. I'll pull up on the screen for you so you can see it. You could probably give me a lot more insight.
Oh, the remaster soundtrack doesn't count. There's only only 40% of the original tracks made it into the remaster. It was so dumb.
Fantastic. That's what we need right now. It's not the one that.
Oh well.
Right, I think I've got it here. Yep, I got it here. So I'm gonna pull up on screen for the people. Do not worry, Life is Strange will surely come into this conversation at some point. If you are usually Life is Strange people. As you can see here.
Song list. Oh, was it TNT? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
AC/DC, TNT, Iron Maiden, Number of Beasts. Oh, what song? NWA, Express Yourself.
Express yourself. Yeah, I think it might have been. Yeah. Oh well. Soundtrack includes several songs that feature, including Muska Beats. Yeah, dude. Muska Beats.
I don't think this one has like a common one. I think this was just a soundtrack, to be honest.
I think it was TNT. Yeah. Maybe. Like I said, Tony Hawk 4 wasn't my all-time favorite, so like I don't even remember that. But no, Tony Hawk 3. Yeah. I was so happy when they remade that, especially the suburban area. Oh my god, it was fucking great, dude. So want to get back to the questions before I go like really hardcore onto Tony Hawk?
Yeah, I think so as well. Like I just called the Patreon page fantastic. This is just going one thing after another. But yeah, that was Lemmy in my Twitter profile, my Twitter banner, and also as well Pinhead. And as I said, huge Hellraiser fan, love it. Excited for the single player horror game they're making as well. I'm very intrigued by that.
Yes,
and as you will. So yeah, Adam, we'll go back to the Patreon page as it comes up on screen. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there it is. And Adam will go to another Kevin Lackner.
Yay!
And is this? No, that's not the one. Here it is. So. Yes. Should we go with that one? I think it might be just a good starting point there.
Sure, yeah.
Which is Kevin Lackner, who's put there as the question, and I'll put on bigger screen for you there. And I'll move here. It says, reflect and share your thoughts on the Michael Koch interview. I let
Michael
the way he's put that as well, and even with the O and the symbol over it. Very nice, very nice.
First thing I want to share about my we never got why he hates me. Number one, we never got that answer. He's like, I don't think I do. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable. I think that's a good response from him, at least. Where he said, "I don't know if I do," and it's like,
because I don't know. I'll have to reflect on that. Mostly, I thought he was going to be a little bit more shy on camera. Like he was definitely like really open, and because I've interviewed people on Games and Groceries that were pretty shy, like notable people. I'm not going to like say names. Like I'm not saying that being shy is a bad trait.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit more, not closed off.
I didn't. Do you know why?
Yeah. Why?
Who else was on the call?
Oh yeah, with Luke. Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
I think it'd be the example if someone asked me to go and do an interview and you weren't there, or vice versa, and it would be like the dynamic is like it shifts. And it's like, I think the idea of like, even doing an interview with Michel would be fantastic. But I've seen Michel do interviews on his own. And then when he has like Jean-Luc, for example, or Raoul Barbet or Luc, I think it adds to the introvert. I'm in a comfortable place with all these other people and I know someone. So you see it when during even that first part of the interview where he calls out Luc for like not watching a TV show beyond like the first season. He's like, it gets kind of, I think it makes you more comfortable with that kind of thing where it's like, it's quite easy for that. So I think like I wanted that dynamic to be Luc and Michel to work together because like otherwise you're going to get a different vibe from it. So I think that's why I didn't think that when he came on, I was like, I expect him to be a bit more, and he was as well, which was quite good. I think it's because Luc helped him as well, because like Luc would say something and it like had that knock-on effect from him, which was cool.
Yeah, like I that was my very first thought. Was like, oh, I'm glad that Michel isn't like shy on this call. The other thing, like not only that, I just was really. It was really cool that we were all comfortable with each other, like all four of us. It was just like a call amongst friends, and it wasn't nervous. Like I've had notable people on Games of Groceries. You've had notable people on, Life After Strange. We've had notable people on here. I feel like out of all those things that we've done, like every time a guest comes on here, we're always like super comfortable at the end. Like it doesn't feel formal. It always feels like a nice conversation.
Well, speak for yourself in a certain part. I was shitting myself before that started with everyone. I genuinely like my.
By the end, we were all comfortable.
Yeah,
you were definitely. Yeah.
I have not really been ever like that in my interview. I've interviewed a lot of people in my life, like even like I've like interviewed the Undisputed Era, Walter, WWE wrestlers, Rhea Ripley, footballers, all these other people I've interviewed. I've never been, even Hannah Tell, Olivia Lepore. I have never had that kind of feeling that was like truly butterflies in my stomach. And there was, I think it was like, because it was a culmination of like 10 years in the making, give or take kind of thing. And I generally was dropping a break before an interview. And I think Adam saw it as well. And I think when Luc was on, like, because we have our Boomcaster thing, and when you see it as well, the guest gets put into like a corner of the screen with like appearing.
Yes.
And when Luc was there, it was like reality has settled in a little bit. And it's like when Michel came on there, I was like, oh my God, I was like, he makes Life is Strange and like he made Lost Records. And it's like, and I wouldn't have that in my life. Like, I think there's only very few people in my life, if I met them, I would be like if I met Taylor Swift, I really wouldn't be too bothered because it's like, it's just not someone like that. But for me to meet like Michel and like Luc, and then also, for example, like Hayley Williams and Zed and Kojima, people who've like influenced my life in a big kind of way, I think that would freak me out. So I was kind of freaking out internally. I was quite screaming during the interview as well in my head. But no, I thought it was fascinating. I think the interview, it was really difficult because like I think some people have said like in the reflection, like, and not in a kind of criticism. I completely understand what I'm saying. It's like it's the timing. I wish like you'd just done this when the TV show had been announced, and it's like cool, that would be great. But then also, would I get anything more than a politician's response from them? Like that's the other thing. Like I've done interviews enough times where you do it with people and you like want the hot topic issue kind of thing, and they might also just turn around and say we can't talk about that or we can't say anything on it. like you kind of like you have like those kind of like little caveats which you don't see behind the scenes with journalism. Because I've had it with people and it's like, why you ask that question? It's like, well, there's a reason why we haven't asked that question because of X reason. Like, but you just can't see that thing. Like, obviously, would have been great. You get the clicks and you get the views and blah blah, and, you know, all that stuff. But I just don't think you would have got anything more from Michel and Luc, like, you know, in terms of what they're going to say. I think it would have been very like, you know, and
If
just
we had Christian Divine on, we would get.
Oh hell,
We
that's
get-
weird. I would ask them, but I think like I've seen enough times where that question doesn't really lead anywhere, and it's the same with like Michel when he's done the double. If you look at the trail of double exposure comments he made in interviews,
Yeah.
did he say anything which was like kind of like different from what you really wanted to hear him say? Like really, really wanted to hear him say? You bite your lip in public, kind of like thing. So. It would have been cool because obviously I would have loved to have heard like, you know, Michel say like I would love Luke to play Chloe Price in the TV show because like he's seen him dress up as Chloe Price, but like generally speaking, yeah, I it was great because like it's so hard to do that interview because like I think even it's weird as well because I was zoning in and out of it during the process, and I remember watching the second part and Luke's like, "I'm sorry, Adnan, I'm going off into Captain Spirit," and I was like, "No, that's fine." But then what I realized is that he thinks I'm just keeping it on Lost Records, but I'm like, I don't know if you can really talk about Life is Strange, but I'm like, anyway, let's continue with it. But it's honestly that could be like a dream 10 chapter podcast you could do for 20 hours and get every little detail hammered out where you talk about things, but we had to cut things out. Like I was fuming as well because one thing I didn't ask Michel and I really wanted to ask him, and it was meant to be in the auteur thing that we were talking about. I was going to say to him, like, did you think about self-inserting yourself into Lost Records like you did in the first Life is Strange? And I missed the boat on that. I was so furious I didn't ask him that question because I was like, hang on a minute, there's definitely a question that was on my mind. And it's like, no, we didn't ask.
Well, like I told you before we started, I'm like, there's 1,000 questions we can ask. And there's so many people that will comment like, why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask this? I'm like, because Michel and Luke have lives. We can't ask them the entire Bible of questions that we have like within this span. I'm glad that they stayed on for 2 hours, but even that 2 hours, we can only ask them so many questions. So it's just kind of like I just liked how comfortable it was. I liked how friendly it got by the end, you know. So
I think
no, it's great.
Yeah, I think like the other thing that I took away from that was like I only came with like 5 questions. Like genuinely, I came with 5 questions. Came with the Patreon users questions. And thank you for that as well. I think you guys make the interview better and make it more complete as well. Having your questions in it, it adds a different layer to it. Because I had taken an approach differently from other people, and that's good because we all have different styles with it. And it is natural as well. I think like you find it hard because like I've done interviews with 4 people, like when I did the Undisputed Era, and it's like trying to manage things. But then like you're thinking about the dynamic when Luke comes into it, and then Adam's on the call, I'm there, Michel's there. You can't just be like scattergun trying to fire as many questions as possible. The conversation has to be natural, and the conversation at that
and
point.
I'm like,
yeah, well, they noticed that. They realized that very quickly after after like the first 20 minutes. But it has to be natural. So one of the things that we were trying to do intentionally was we were trying to bounce Michel off of Luke. So it makes them feel more comfortable trying to like find things and like bounce things off. And weirdly enough, because I do my counseling course at the minute, I've kind of like started to infuse it into my interviews. And it adds to the kind of like, you know, making people talk to you. Because I had it with Victoria Diamond. It's like, when she talks in it, and then she even talks about her sister and the entire like the inspiration for the villain thing, I'm like, it's on the tip of your tongue, and it's like I don't need to pry it because it's going to come out during this process because I see what you're doing, and it's a fine line because obviously I can't counsel someone whilst doing it. That's unethical and it's completely different. What it is you're taking traits from it and you're like applying it within the interview and trying to refine it. And it's making a bit more kind of like you are the kind of focus of things. It's a weird thing at the minute I'm trying to refine, but like generally speaking, yeah, I couldn't have been more happy with it. I genuinely was like, it was, it was one of the highlights of my life, like in the most like 10 years. Like I think it was just like a culmination of like it added so much to it. Cause like even at the end, I said like we would never have met had it not been for them. Like if those two had not been in the same room doing something and this was created, the catalyst of like the butterfly effect doesn't apply just to the game, it applies to like everyone's lives. So yeah, it was amazing to speak to him. Like I think it was fascinating. I'd love to speak to Jean-Luc Carnot. I think like he would be a fascinating interview as well. Just for like the writing perspective, and obviously Christian. I'd love to speak to Christian Divine as well.
I would love me and Christian Divine would just like Put me in a room with Christian Divine. We would just like cause fires in the room.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, because I would love to speak to like everyone if I like, like if that is possible, like I would. And like my like especially ones that I'd love to like interview would be like Sam Bradley, Philip Bark. I would love to speak to Juliet at Don't Nod Montreal as well, because like her work as a character artist, as lead character artist, is amazing as well. And I think like what she does is incredible as a developer. And like even and I think we once talked. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. We were like we would really love to speak to Frederica at Don't Nod Montreal, because like
Oh yeah.
as the managing aspect of it, outside of the realm of video game development thing, like more so of the management side and all that other stuff, because like she has a fascinating like resume of like and working at Ubisoft and stuff. So, and she's got Scottish heritage, which makes always a nice, amazing connection you can drop. But I would love to speak to so many of these people.
Yeah.
But it was nice to get that opportunity and to do it, because like I live and die for those kind of interviews, especially with like developers as well, and like the actors and stuff. But yeah, I couldn't have been happier. And if you asked me if I was going to change something, I wouldn't change anything, because I thought it was great. Like even they drag the interview on, because one of the things that happens to the side B part, and when you watch it, it's like they go off on the tangent about Philip Bark and they start talking about Philip Bark.
Yeah.
And then even at the end, when I'm like, okay, I'm going to wrap up because I know we were running off of time and you guys have got stuff to do. And Luke's like, I'm going to get involved here. And he starts talking. I'm like, and Michel gets involved. I'm like, that's the dynamic.
There's a certain, I've done enough podcast episodes with you where you have a tell that I know where you're just like, how do I get this back on the tracks? And like I want to impersonate it, but I want to hurt your feelings, but you have a tell, and I'm like, I know it's like, try to get back.
What is the tell?
Okay, so let me try to like impersonate it. I'm laughing so hard. It's you like sit back and go,
yeah,
like that's your tell right there. It's like if you're just sitting back, like you're just like waiting for your moment to like come in, like and you have the hands together and all that. Like that's my tell. Where I'm just like, he wants to get back on track.
That is interesting, actually. Yeah, but yeah, I see it as well, because it's the idea that I'm thinking of, like this can go on a rabbit hole and it goes off completely, and then you lose kind of focus of like what you're doing until like someone eventually stops and you're like, okay, we'll bring it back. I'm like, no,
that's not to make fun of you, but like I've known you long enough to like I see now, like it's a pattern that I see.
Yeah,
like, before he's like, right. So, anyways, back to that.
Yeah, do you do it because you have to do it otherwise, because it has actually you've done it before when you've done conversational podcasts. You're that kind of conversational person as well. You can take one question and you'll burrow into a different like avenue of it, because like that was in the first part. That's what I was worried about, because we thought we just had like an hour with them, and you were doing it with the kind of like, here's the like, what is the market and like what's the state of it. I'm like, this is fascinating as it is, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, they are going so far off tangent and we have 1 hour here. Yeah, and I was like in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, we have Patreon questions. I'm like, I have questions. I'm like, we've basically spent 40 minutes of this podcast not talking about
Michel Koch just says like, yeah, this is how we design Lost Records. Like, cool. So like on that topic, what's your thoughts on Gavin Newsom?
It's really hard. Like, and you know what as well? I don't think I'm the best interviewer, but I think like to do interviews is so difficult. I really think it's so hard. And I've been doing journalism for a long time. To do them is so difficult, because like people who watch them get to enjoy them, but like, oh my God. Like, I always say this to people, it's like, we've just met like 10 minutes ago, some of these people. Like sometimes when I've met someone, it's like I've met them 10 minutes ago. And it's like, you have to build a rapport like very quick. Yeah. Oh, Lily Okama's great. I love that. She's so funny.
Yeah, that was a great interview.
Yeah. But you have to get a vibe off of people. It's same like Frost, because like when we met Frost, I think if other people interviewed Frost, they would kind of be like, ooh, he's got very dry sense of humor. And he's very, I'm like, no, he's like our kind of guy. It's like, he
laughs at ham hitting a floor. So
yeah, and I think it's the same with everyone. I think, Zach Andrews, Erica Mori, Stace. I think like I've interviewed enough people where it's like so diverse, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Sometimes you have to be like, this is gonna be effortless. Sometimes it's like we are different, and it's like we really have to try and find like some footing here. So generally speaking, yeah, the Michael Koch and Luc Baghadoust interview was amazing from start to finish. I could sign off tomorrow and I would be quite fulfilled to get just that one interview done. It was amazing, and then the feedback obviously was amazing as well. It's a very tough one because it's like I was sitting there afterwards. It's like, do we ask everything I wanted to? And it's like, and you start self-deprecating. I'm like, But yeah, no, very, very cool though, and it was just cool to see them, and even Michel's cat making an appearance as well. Pippin, it was quite cool to see the entire thing. But yeah, very, very cool. Fingers crossed. Maybe one day we'll cross paths in the future. I would love to hear Michel's take on Emma Myers being Max, because that'd be interesting. But that's
get all their casting suggestions.
That's and we met Bao as well. That people don't know that either. We met Bao before the podcast started because we were waiting for Michel to come onto the call, and Luke was already there. And then Luke was telling us about Bao, and it's like, and he took us over and saw Bao, and it's like, oh my god, there he is, the legend. Which is quite cool.
The legend himself.
But no, very, very cool interview then nonetheless. Should we move into one or two of the other topics as we got time in the first?
Let's go on to another Kevin.
So it's going to go on to the other Kevin. So I'm going to pull us back onto this screen. Kevin Kestis. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to move that good question is really good as well, actually. But I'm going to pull it down a bit further here. So here we go. Either of you a Stranger Things fan? What are your thoughts about the show? I love it. I read the books and the comics.
There's books and I think I knew there was comics, and I guess it doesn't surprise me it was a novelization. I was a fan of of Stranger Things. I think season 3 kind of overstayed its welcome.
Right.
That's my
why.
The last few episodes were an hour and a half each.
Ooh.
I think the last 2 episodes of season 3 were an hour and a half each
for a TV show.
And I was like, yes. And this was I was back working the salad place in North Dakota. So this was in 2022, and we still haven't had anything since then. I think the first season is magical. I think the first season, when it came out, it was a moment of its time where Netflix was pretty fresh in its own content, the original content of Netflix. And they're like, we're going to give you Stranger Things. And it's really cool. It was a good vibe. And it was like, wow, Netflix is coming out with the fire here. Season 2 was good. It was fine. It was good. I think season 2 was good. Season 3, with the whole Hellfire Club and Metallica love, and I'm just like, this is just okay, you're really starting to lean into the 80s.
Yeah.
And now it's becoming. Here's my problem with Stranger Things. I think it faces the same problem as Nirvana, where Nirvana is now a clothing brand. That's not an original thought. One of my friends brought this to my attention. Nirvana is more of a clothing brand than it is a band now.
Right.
It's a vibe now, whereas Stranger Things is now, it's the vibe now of Stranger Things versus what it was before. So,
right.
To answer your question, Kevin, because it's complicated. I don't hate it. I wouldn't call myself a fan either. I'm not chomping at the bit for season 4.
There's 4 seasons. I watched one season of it. I enjoyed it. But then I kind of
first?
Yeah, just the first season. So I watched the first season of it. And it was that, as you said, that peak era of Netflix's arrival. But then I never watched it again. And I don't know why. I think I just kind of lost interest at the end of it. Not that it wasn't, bad or anything. It's just I lost interest in it. And I think what happened was when it was continuing, I started seeing the evolution of Netflix, which is what happened to all their TV shows. So the House of Cards, American Horror Story, all the other ones that started happening, they really tailed off and they became too Netflixy in the sense that they were becoming over dramatized. There was too much budget going into them. They were trying to put eyes on it. So they were basically trying to make shows that would keep people on the platform rather than being just normal TV shows, i.e., for example, doing an hour and a half TV show. That's just ridiculous in a TV formatting, at least. So I never really kind of got back into, I never got into the cult of it either. I don't know what it was. It just never really
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, the cult of it. Yeah,
the cult of it. I'm the cult of Life is Strange instead, and Lost Records. And I never really delved into it beyond that. I just thought it was an okay TV show, and I don't think it was like mind blowing or anything. It just didn't really hook me for some reason. Um, and even now, like I just have
Yeah.
no interest as well, especially with the way that it's going and way it looks as well. I'm like, no, it kind of looks it I'm not use committees. It looks too executive based, where it's like we have to keep the show above the ground because it's a big platform
There's so
thing
many
for Netflix.
partnerships. There's Ego partnership. There's
Mhm.
like merch involved. There is like a whole.
Yeah.
It is now like its own entity now, where it's just like now there has to be committees involved, and it's
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just falls into. I think it falls into the pitfall of modern TV, which I'm not saying like in a hipster sense where it becomes popular and it kind of does that. It just feels like it loses the magic of what made it, for me at least. It loses the magic of what made the first season so kind of like special. You could use the same thing with Life is Strange. Look at the Sundance indie vibes style of Life is Strange is now
Yes.
gone, and all the kind of like merchandise and spinning off. And same with other things I've seen as well, like even Game of Thrones, like the commitment to become full mainstream. I was the quote unquote hipster watching it early days because I had a friend who read the books and stuff. But like
Yes.
I saw the change of that TV show and it became so like we need to make it like, this kind of popular TV show
Yes.
which everyone's going to tune in, and it starts going into
Dude,
pitfalls and then it falls apart.
I had a normie come up to me. This is like season
Normie.
4 or 5 of Game of Thrones. Like a normie by season 4 or 5, right? Saying that Game of Thrones is the smartest show on television. I was
Jeez.
like,
Well, you need to
oh.
increase your pool of like watching TV shows.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like,
I was gonna say they need
yeah.
to sit down with Michel Koch, those people, and like watch like get some good TV show recommendations.
I was like, hot take there. I don't agree, but
It's
yeah, like
sorry
it's
on
fine. Yeah,
sorry on Game of Thrones. The first season is fantastic. Like in the slow
yeah, of
build, and
course.
like I even think that, for example, Littlefinger and
First 3
Viserys.
seasons,
Yeah, and Littlefinger
I'll
and
say.
Viserys is a great, like, as a combination of like
Yeah.
that kind of like Machiavellian kind of approach when they're sitting in front of the throne, standing in front of the throne and talking and doing the politics. That's what the show should have stayed like. And I think,
Yes.
spoiler warning here, if you haven't watched the show somehow, you better fast forward a minute or so. Killing off Robb Stark was ridiculous because you
Yes.
don't kill off the
Yeah.
main character. They have so many sub characters, but you can't kill off the main character
Yeah.
at that point. It's too. It's like, for example, let me use an example. That's like killing Jack off from Lost, because whilst there's multiple main characters in Lost as the TV show, the Abrams TV show,
Yeah.
Jack is still the main character. He's the main character that holds the glue together, and you have to keep him there. So it's the
We
same
don't
with
we don't want to have Jack off, right?
Your comments, not mine. But I think it was just a stupid decision because then the show falls flat at that point because you have to reset and it starts going into all kinds of different places. It could have just been a full-on political dramatization with wars and stuff. It looks like the way the TV show looks like, it looks like a cheap version of the Lord of the Rings because that keeps itself always on focus. It's not about the wars and the conflicts. It's also about the politics, the geopolitical things that are happening. Like you need to understand why the elves hate the humans, for example, because that's an important part of Lord of the Rings' mythology. So yeah, it's an interesting one with Stranger Things. I'm not too blown away by it. I don't hate it. I'm just kind of a bit like indifferent towards
It's
it.
complicated. Yeah, it's kind of like if you ask me, like, are you a fan of Star Wars? It's like it's complicated.
Yeah.
Like I like Star Wars a lot. Like in fact, going over my thing, I got my Lego Millennium Falcon right there. I've got some Pez collection right there. I like Star Wars. In fact, that's Darth Vader's lightsaber. There we go, Darth Vader's light. I like Star Wars. It's just what they did with it. It's just kind of like, God, dude, like enough already. I like the novels. I love Darth Bane. It's my same thing with Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm okay with it. It's a bit much now.
Yeah. Too much exposure towards something isn't a good thing. Even with like Liz as well. Like Liz could be one of those things where you measure it and make it a bit more refined with the products you put out on it. It's like they really did.
Strange, not my wife.
Yes, Life is Strange. Liz,
Yes.
Your wife Liz can be Liz too. She can. That's what we have. Actually, there already is a Liz too, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not too overly like blown away by it. Like Stranger Things has its own place in its medium. Hopefully, it stays there because I've seen how people's perceptions of things have changed now recently on TV shows and way things have played out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You'll have to look at fandoms and how divided they are and things. So, as you will. Adam, should we bring in a Life is Strange question here?
Yeah, let's do this.
So I'm going to bring this in, and this is from
Life
Kevin
is Strange
Lackner.
Things.
And I like this question as well because it's very an interesting one for me here. So as you can see here, and pull some screen as well, make us go on to the bottom one there. As you can see, Kevin Lackner, we'll go to the first one, Adam, at the bottom. So it was Rachel Amber more compelling as an idea, Life is Strange 1, or a character from Before the Storm?
Oh,
which is Pandora's box
damn.
moment here. That question.
Damn, that's a good question.
It's a great question. That's my favorite character in the entire series,
Ooh.
outside of Max as well.
Damn, that's a good question. Okay, I think so. I'm giving credit to Deck 9 that like they could have done it way worse. We've seen it way worse. That like there's a character that becomes that was an idea, it then became a reality. And I'm trying to think of an example. I know there's examples where it's just like they brought this idea to life and it's just like, oh, you didn't have to.
Yeah.
Or even like you bring up a lot, like with Star Wars, like midichlorians, like the idea of the Force, and now you're trying to explain it as a character of midichlorian. I think Rachel Amber. Okay, so that's the thing. Like okay, you have to go because like Rachel Amber is your favorite character. I'll let you go. Like take point on this one.
Yeah, it's a very weird one because as you said that, it reminds me of the entire. I always use the example, but it's the most famous one as well. It's Thomas Harris's, Hannibal, where he explains why Hannibal Lecter eats people. And it's like, that the irony is as well, because you can compare and contrast it within mediums. Because, for example, Scream came out before Hannibal Rising, and Billy Loomis does that entire speech where he's like, we don't know why Hannibal Lecter eats people. What's a motive, Sid? Kind of thing. And then, for example, Thomas Harris goes and explains it because he's pressured, like more or less pressured into writing the book, and he explains it. And it's like, oh. And it's like you kill off the idea why it's so scary, the fact that he eats people. That's just in itself a scary thing. So again, it goes into the ideas what Michel said in the interview. Did you know we interviewed Michel, by the way, as well? Just to let you know. That's self-awareness, guys. It goes into the ideas what Michel said, where he's like, you don't need to explain everything, and because of what his influences are and stuff like that, like that character is obvious. I need to watch the TV show. I'm going to watch it soon. I'm going to put it on and start committing to it. That character is Laura Palmer from Twin Peaks, and Rachel Amber's place in the first Life is Strange is a plot device. She is a plot device. She's an enigma. She's a mystery.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, I like Life is Strange Before the Storm's Rachel Amber, but I can separate the two because also as well, I don't like seeing Rachel Amber in Before the Storm because you shatter a lot of the ideas of who she is and what she represents, and you're trying to explain a character that is based on the idea of someone else, in the sense that Michel had a certain vision of what he was giving Rachel Amber, and then you can rewrite narratives in history. So it creates that quote unquote war in the fandom where people like, well, Rachel Amber's like this. It's like, hang on a minute. It's like, that's not what Rachel Amber was meant to be. And this kind of, for example, bleeds into the TV show because it's like, how much Rachel Amber are we going to get exposed to in the TV show? Because I'm like, oh, that's where I'm kind of a little bit like, we're not those people who are shitting on the TV show and stuff. I know people are doing that, and like, I have my own feelings on it. My expectations are quite low on it, but I want to see more and see how things play out. I'm very skeptical on it.
I need to see more first, before I even get judgment.
Yeah, and I think that's been our universal view since the beginning. Amid all the other stuff, obviously, I kind of like don't like the fact that creators aren't involved, etc., etc. But that's another thing. But like, that's already the question I'm asking about the TV show, because what Kevin said there as well about Rachel Amber. That makes big question marks about the TV show. What are you going to expose audiences to? What are you going to reveal to her? About her? What's going to happen here? For me, the best thing for her is the most compelling version of Rachel Amber is in Life is Strange 1, which is the fact that she is just an enigma. She's like an idea, isn't she? She's a conduit. Like you can't you can't know more than anything, because one of the things that's fascinating is that you connect Max to Rachel Amber despite the fact that they never met. And like, obviously, big fan of Emma's comics. I like when Emma connects Rachel Amber and Max in the same universe because we never saw that before. I think she personally handles Rachel Amber quite well in terms of like what she's trying to do with the story and what they're playing with it. But it's really difficult because I think like they have their own good and bads. Like I like Rachel Amber in Before
Yeah.
Storm, but then there's a lot of mischaracterization between relationships and what she's representing there. But then with the Liz one, she's pure authentic to what the director, co-director is trying to imply with the messaging. And I think that's where she becomes more fascinating. But obviously, the thing that happens with her is when you make her an enigma, obviously corporate executives love it and they want to make a game out of it and tell more of her backstory, which is a bit of an unfortunate one.
Yeah.
Because
I think
sorry, one thing before we move on, before I let you
Yeah.
have that thing here. One thing I don't like, for example, why she's not as compelling in Before the Storm compared to this idea of the first one, is when, for example, they do the entire sequence at the end of Before the Storm, when she screams and the fire and the wind start happening. And it creates this idea of people like, oh, she's got powers. And it's like, hang on a minute, does she have powers? Does she not have powers? And they start making some weird kind of like enigma messaging with it. And then they never explain it. So it's like almost like they kind of make this idea that Rachel Amber almost had powers, but then she didn't. Or you create that perception of it. And it's like, no. It's like, no, it's like, this is kind of lost. And I think one of the things that I found actually, and it's just to add on to this, one of the things I find fascinating as well, why she's so compelling in the first game, for example, she is taking the manifestation of Max's dough, for example, in the game. So Max's dough is her spirit animal, but then it leads you to Rachel Amber's grave. And some of the ideas and topics people have talked about is that the manifestation of the dough, the spirit animal, that is Rachel Amber guiding Max to the grave because she takes the form of her spirit animal. You know, the dough is connected to Max. Samuel and Max talk about it. She's got it on a t-shirt and stuff like that. But it has that layered thing where it's like the enigma evolves in itself into a spirit animal. And it's quite tragically beautiful as well when you play the game. So I think like, I don't know, man, I could be on this question for like years because it's so.
That's what I mean. I think from what you've said and like listening to you, I'm gonna say the more compelling is as an idea in Life is Strange 1 because you have this mystery. You're figuring out who Rachel Amber was through context and all that. Whereas Before the Storm kind of feeds it to you, like this is who she is, you know? So I would say probably more compelling in Life is Strange 1. But it doesn't mean that like Before the Storm handled it poorly. I just think that like if the question is what's more compelling, Life is Strange 1.
Yeah, on the compelling basis, because obviously like Kylie Brown is fantastic. Like that was one of the most perfect castings I've ever heard for Rachel Amber. But I think it's just BTS is hamstrung by its like limitations. Like it's 3 episodes. They don't really explore the Frank Bowers Rachel Amber relationship, for example. They don't really like hint at anything major like that. You know, Jefferson's missing from that picture. So there's like loads of elements within BTS that you know to kind of add on to. If you need to fast forward a little bit in time and kind of add exposition to certain scenes, it kind of like misses that. And I think like, I just, it's very hard because like when you make a plot device more than a plot device, you kind of like start creating holes within the story and also like misinterpret and misconstruing things. But as an idea, I think she's compelling in the first game because like, what is she? She's the enigma. She's just like, who is she? She's this girl that's, you know, died, you know, who's missing in Blackwell and people are trying to find her. She's like is she the beloved sweetheart girl next door, or is she something more? Did she have that pure relationship with Chloe? Did she not? What was going on with her? She has so many multifaceted layers. That's why I thought she was so fascinating as a character. But I think the way that they compel her in the first game, and also she's not central to the first game. She is just a story element within it. This is where, for example, Liz has fallen down not pills, you know, falling down holes in terms of trying to tell stories. You know, Maya Okada, for example, they tried to do that. They tried to create a Rachel Amber 2.0, but they didn't give so much agency to Maya Okada in the same way as Rachel Amber, because Rachel Amber, she was there from the beginning in the first game. Like, we need to find Rachel Amber, who she is. We saw the posters. Maya Okada doesn't come later into the chapters when the game starts to kind of play into effect. That's when we start going into that story plot point. So it's like, it's not got the same agency. I think it adds agency to the story, adds agencies. And the thing for me that fascinates me more is that character who is like resonantly known in Arcadia Bay never beats this character, your player character, Max Caulfield.
Yeah.
And they still, like, you just see connecting points. You know, you see, because, I will move into the next question. But one thing I find fascinating is when Chloe's like, you know, if you and Rachel met, I think you'd be friends. Would they? Would they?
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
they? Like, it's so much
Yeah.
interesting, like, to kind of go when you go into the deep dive of the characters, Rachel Amber, Max Caulfield, and Chloe Price, you're like, would that work? Would it work? Even Chloe dressing up Max Caulfield as Rachel Amber is like so telling on like different things. Just like from a
Yeah.
psychology, she's like, obviously, she's like, Rachel's clothes there, try it on, but still psychology. Like, when you just think about those deep dive things of what she's trying to do there, that's not saying that Max and Chloe can't be a thing. It's just the psychology of that is like so fascinating because it gives you so many different interpretations of that entire context of something. So, yeah, great question. I could have done the entire podcast on that. Should we jump back into Kevin Kestis then?
Yeah, let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, let's have a look. See. By the way, Adam doesn't see these questions. It's usually me that's browsing through them. So I'm going to go back onto the small screen so we can go on here. So Kevin Kestis, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to leave this for the next part, Adam. That'll be a better one for the second part because there'll be more time. Actually, let's have a look at this one. I recently beat Silent Hill 2 Remake. What are your thoughts on Silent Hill franchise? I was a baby or didn't even exist yet when the games were coming out. I'm new to the franchise.
Great. Thanks for making me feel old, dude. Hot take here. Hot take. The Silent Hill franchise was squandered. It was in a way of just like, I feel like, but here's the other thing. Squandered in a way of just like, I think of Resident Evil in that franchise and like how much they spun off, but then like, did they need to do that, or did Silent Hill 2 kind of like go off with like champion vibes?
Yeah.
Like think of a bad Silent Hill game and then think of how many bad Resident Evil games there are. Like in the way of just like ratio wise. Like I think Silent Hill 3. Am I thinking the right one? Sorry. Let me think of this real quick.
Granted, Capcom's had a return to form with Resident Evil, which is like driven by.
So remakes. I've heard Silent Hill. I've heard Silent Hill F is not that great, apparently. Oh my god, yeah. I'm looking at all the Silent Hill titles. Oh my god. I didn't realize there was that many. Silent Hill 3, the third installment was teenage. Yeah, the one with Heather in Silent Hill 3. Did you play that one?
Yeah, I remember
that.
By the way, as well,
okay.
we never got the greatest Silent Hill game in the entire series, which was Silent Hills. The cancelled Hideo Kojima game with Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus.
Oh, damn.
Because like PT is technically part of the Silent Hill franchise, and that's probably one of the best entries in the entire like non-official entries in the series, because PT is by far one of the greatest horror games of the last 25 years, if not of all time. And I've always wanted Kojima to make a horror game, which he seems to be making with OD, which is called Knock, is it now?
OD Knock, along with his credit card and his sake.
Oh god! Do you know what? As well, history will study the relationship between Hideo Kojima and Hunter Schafer. Like, there's so many memes online with that, and even Sophie Lillis is in it as well, which is quite interesting. I was like, that's quite crazy. Like that dynamic. Because obviously, we talk about people saying that want her for Chloe Price in the TV show and stuff. So quite interesting to see her work with her. But
so to answer Kevin's question, I think not squander's not the right term. I just think like they didn't really want to go mainstream in the same way that Resident Evil did, because Silent Hill is mostly about psychological torture, rather than like Resident Evil is more survival horror. It's more of like get to the plague, make sure that like you stay of it's more of like action focused, and that's definitely what the mainstream wants.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, when I was saying Sophie Lillis before, I meant Max Caulfield, not Chloe Price. One thing I would actually say is I agree with what you're saying, because I think they're so different as franchises and genres. I think the weird thing is Resident Evil 7 remake, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which I really love as well as a game, especially despite the fact that it tails off towards the second half. That was very Silent Hill-esque and specifically PT-esque, and that was kind of like a bit of a dangerous territory of Resident Evil losing its identity. It seems to still have it, even though it's going first person. I don't like the first person element within Resident Evil. I would argue the two differences as well, especially with the way that the franchise has gone, as you timelining them out as well. Silent Hill is a specific kind of horror in the sense that I always think that it's like Guillermo del Toro horror, where it's like, has a completely different way of projecting what horror experiences are. And I think the one thing that
Yes.
happened with Resident Evil, why it continued, and one of the things that it had a benefit from was the catalyst, which was when Shinji Mikami became director of Resident Evil
Yeah.
4, and he came back to the series because what did he do? He revolutionized the third person genre as well as the survival horror genre. But what did he do? He initiated that action element within it because they
Yeah.
continued doing it. Obviously, then they had Resident Evil 6, and I know my old colleague and mate Dan will hate me for saying, but Resident Evil 6 was terrible. He loves it. I don't know what it is, Dan. If you ever watch this somehow, he loves Resident.
He likes Resident Evil 6.
Oh, don't start. Don't. Dan has amazing taste in
Like-
games. Well, by the way, but for one reason,
Like, is it his favorite or like top 3?
I never actually asked him that, but I think like he loves
Yeah.
it for some reason. He loves it, and I'm like,
Resident Evil 6. Am I okay?
yes,
Which one was that?
Resident Evil 6 after 5. With all the not so patronizing. With all the characters, the different.
Yeah, 5 enough. It's just
Yeah, that one. He loves it. I don't know what it is about it. It's like
bad take. Horrible take.
He-
What are you
he-
talking about?
he loves it for some reason. It's so funny with that. But even then as well, that's when Resident Evil took a bit of a hit in terms of like the momentum and stuff, like to get it on, to get itself back on track.
Yes.
But I think Silent Hills is Silent Hill again. Oh, actually, here's another thing.
Yeah.
Silent Hill has also been poorly handled by its publisher because Konami, as you've seen in the last 10 years, is very similar.
Squandered.
Very squandered. Yeah, very squandered the same way Square Enix has done with some of its IPs. I saw Metal Gear get squandered. Like they're now milking it for all its nostalgic stuff as well. With
Yes.
that, I'm not playing Delta Snake. I'll play that when it comes down to sale price. They did it with because this is what happened. Do you remember when? Because Konami's business isn't games. Like they make all pachinko machines and like they have all kinds of different services in Japan where they make money from it. So it's like for them, games aren't that big. So like Silent Hills was more profitable as a pachinko machine, and like in the sense of like let's just make it a pachinko machine. So they haven't had a full grip on the IP until recently, where they've started to get a bit more kind of control on some of the games. But I'm not.
Sorry. Can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah, of course.
So remember how I was giving some hate to Silent Hill 3?
Yeah.
Little side tangent here about the Wikipedia here. So more specifically, Silent Hill 3, the alternate version, right? Blah blah blah. The story was initially to continue the interferes concept of Silent Hill 2. However, due to the slower than expected sales of Silent Hill 2, Konami pushed Team Silent to turn the game to more commercial arcade-style rail shooter spin-off.
Of
And the
course.
plan was rejected by the team, but the process was wasted the budget, development for Silent Hill 3 at the time. But yeah, so because Silent Hill 2 was so slow in sales, there was supposed to be like what made Silent Hill 2 so great.
Yeah.
And that sort of like messing with your inner thoughts kind of thing. That was supposed to be going to Silent Hill 3. But in Silent Hill 3 ended up to be like just meh. Like, I don't know. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was great. It was just
Yeah.
meh. That explains a lot though. That because they were having like internal fights between Konami and Team Silent as well.
Standard. It's a story. It's a story of a franchise and publishers and developers fight. Yeah, it's an interesting. I'd still like it hurts me that we never got Silent Hills because Kojima making that game would have been. Oh God,
I'm upset that you can't play PT anymore.
Like
not only you'll never be able to play Silent Hills, but you won't be able to play what was going to be like the teaser of Silent Hills. Like that's what bumps me most. So hopefully OD, which not hopefully. OD will be the spiritual successor to PT. Like that's pretty obvious. Like he couldn't have spelled it out any further than that. So yeah. Kevin, if you want to, I don't know any accessible way to play the other Silent Hills, but like play Silent Hill 1 for sure. I think hot take. I think Silent Hill 1 was a little better than Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 2 is more like iconic, isn't it? Essentially.
It's more iconic for sure. In the same way that like Gears of War 2 is more iconic than Gears of War 1. But like it's one of those things that like depends what day of the week it is. Like
Yeah.
Gears of War 1 was better, Gears of War 2 was better. Same thing with Silent Hill 1 and 2. Like those two games, ask me, like depends on the day of the week. You can ask me which one, but yeah, Kevin, go try to play the first one and then look forward to OD. Because if you want more of that like Silent Hill kind of features that Kojima wanted, play OD. From what I'm hearing about Silent Hill F, don't
It
bother.
looks creepy. I've seen it's got fairly strong reviews in certain places.
In certain places, I've heard middling. I've heard
Okay.
that it's like I've heard that it's not amazing. It's not like, oh, Silent Hill's back, but it's also doesn't dishonor the series either. It's just kind of like because it's a full price $70 game.
Mm,
You know what I mean? It's not worth $70. It's one of those things like pay $40 for this game, you know?
yeah. Yeah. I have a very love-hate relationship with Silent Hill, and I'm not like the biggest. I'm not the biggest Silent Hill fan. Not like because I don't like it. I've been more of a Resident Evil fan, especially with like Mikami's
Yeah.
influence and stuff with it. But it's a weird one because it's like it's trying to find what they do with the franchise and where they want to take it. Do you stay in the kind of like the spiritual horror style, kind of like demonic style horror games, or do you want to make it a bit more grounded in Resident Evil sense, where it's like, it's like the scientist. I've seen those memes where it's like on TikTok, it's like the scientist genetically modified a crab with a duck. 2 days later, the duck escaped. It's like, damn, that's Resident Evil in a nutshell. Yeah, I do wonder what they do with it, but it's a very unique signature style horror game, which obviously you don't see as many nowadays as well, and it's obviously part of its time. And as long as you can keep hold of those things, that's great. But again, I think a big issue is with like Konami, Mikami's influence of Resident Evil. There's so many different factors that timeline out what happened to Resident Evil versus Silent Hills. It's such a weird debate. It's like a complicated debate. Sorry, not weird. It's complicated debate because of how those franchises have had trajectories and stuff. So yeah, I think that's probably it. So Adam, I think we can wrap up here because I think we'll go into side B as well, and we'll take over some of the topics. So thank you, Kevins, for that as well. Obviously, if you do want to sign up to Patreon, you can sign up to it. We have interview incentives. We have all the other jazz as well with it. You have ad-free content and stuff. And more importantly, you support the channel as well, which is always important as well for us as well. So, and you can get involved in this monthly podcast because we'll do one for October as well. So yeah, thank you for joining us. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know about that Rachel Amber one if you get the chance as well. I'll be interested to see what you think about that. I think I might have swayed Adam's opinion a bit more, but let me know what you think about her as a character, the compelling argument. I think it's a good kind of topic. And also as well, yeah, we'll sign off here. So thank you for joining us. If you are new here, please do consider dropping a subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like video, share your friends. We're almost at, we're climbing to 2,200 subscribers. So if you can help us get there, that's amazing. And StrangeCast is available on all podcast services. So we're available on Spotify with a video version, Apple Podcasts. We're available on all of them. So go and check us out, go and rate us, go and download us. You can boost our visibility, you get instant access to podcasts as soon as they become available, and you support us as well. As I said at the beginning, stay tuned as well. A lot of moving parts. I'm just trying to get these podcasts out. So hopefully the previous StrangeCast is out. The next one's out. Just an FYI, we're going to comment on the podcast and spread the arts for this episode because that other episode isn't available. But hopefully, when we get back onto our next one, we will, back on schedule. So any of the comments we'll try and bring over into the next podcast. But anyway, stay tuned. Side B will be coming very soon. Obviously, some interesting topics to talk about in there. And we'll see you then. Take care. Bye.
Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.